Hey everyone, welcome back once again. Now, I know I've been away for a little bit. I think it's been a couple months since my last post. I took a little bit of a unplanned hiatus from posting. Now, it wasn't that I wasn't reading. I have been reading, just more so life got busy. It's the summer, everything like that. Just couldn't really get around carving out some time to making a video and putting it up. But here I am today, and I've compiled 6 novels for you, some horror novels, a couple sci-fi novels, and really this bunch I decided to kind of clean up a little mess in my TBR. Wanted to continue some series that I had on the go, so I decided to knock a few of those off and just tackle some things that kind of had been sitting on my TBR for a while. But like I said, there's some good stuff, and all right, let's get into it. Okay, first up, I went back to Robert McCammon and I picked up Usher's Passing. I found this, I know nothing about this book. I found this at a local used bookstore, and it is a pretty old hard copy, as you can see there. I love these really old ones with the yellow pages and everything like that. I just think they're super nostalgic to read. This is my third McCammon book that I've read. I read Swan Song and I read Boy's Life. I absolutely loved Boy's Life. Swan Song was good. I know a lot of people really, really like Swan Song. For me, it just didn't blow me away, but I definitely enjoyed it. This one I would put on par with Boy's Life. I thought it read in the same type of style. Like, I thought Swan Song, you could just notice the writing style was a little bit different from Boy's Life, and I found this one, it's hard for me to pinpoint, just kind of a feeling, but I thought this read very smooth, like very well written, very easy to read, and a page turner. The plot-wise, it always kept you on your toes. Getting into the plot a little bit more, I might as well just read the back for you here real quick. The House of Usher has towered over a century with its apocalyptic warning against the powers of madness and evil. Yet the House of Usher is no mere tale, and neither did it really ever fall. Today, the House of Usher is a multi-billion-dollar corporate empire standing poised on the brink of its most devastating onslaught against an unsuspecting world, crafting fantastic superweapons that can level the planet, summoning demons of destruction from the darkest reaches of the earth. Unless one young heir to the House of Usher can, and at long last, break the unyielding spell of terror before it breaks him. So this novel, like I said, went in completely fresh. Wasn't sure what to expect. I thought it was going to be maybe some sort of haunted house style book. It wasn't like that at all. So the Ushers are this, like it said, multi-billion-dollar family that over generations have accumulated their wealth through some unconventional means. I'll just say that. And our main character, he's not like the other Ushers, and he's not in line to inherit the throne, if you will. The head of the Usher family carries around this cane that is basically a symbol of their power and their wealth. And he wasn't next in line to inherit the cane, and so he wasn't really like his other family members. He was the one that moved away and everything like that, and didn't really conform to the ways of the family. And something ends up drawing him back. His father's ill is what ends up drawing him back to the family estate after all these years. And that's where our novel picks up. And it's a mystery. It unfolds, you're gathering clues and things like that. So it's really fun in that regard. Very mysterious, very eerie novel. Love the atmosphere in this one. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this read. I would recommend this one. It's a McCammon novel that I haven't really heard anyone talk about. I haven't heard anyone talk about it because I hadn't heard of it when I picked it up. So I'd love to hear from some of you in the comments if you've read this novel and what you thought of it, because I found this one very, very interesting. Again, you horror fans out there, pick this one up. Really good. All right, so next up is a novel that a lot of the subscribers on this channel putting my comments on a lot of videos, asking me if I'd read it, asking me that I should read it because I hadn't read it. And it was Paul Trembley's The Cabin at the End of the World. Oh boy, yeah, this one, I finally bit the bullet. I was like, you know what? Enough people have been asking, enough people have been talking about it. I'm going to read it. Wasn't that long. This novel, it's something else, for real. Like, it is very dark. Let's start there. And still, like, I'm not 100% sure about what it exactly was. In a nutshell, there is a gay couple with their adopted daughter in a cabin, and they're vacationing, and all of a sudden, these three people, was it three or four? I think it was, it was three people, wander out of the woods with these weird weapons, and in a very creepy way, demand to be let into the house. And it's one of those situations where it's like they're promising, very like culty, right? Like they're promising they're not going to hurt you, but they're saying they're not going to go away, and they've got weapons, and then they end up breaking into the house, and I'm trying to do this without being spoilery as much as possible, but they claim that the world is going to end if they don't choose one of the three of them, being the couple and the daughter, to sacrifice. And obviously any sane person is not going to believe that's actually the case, and they're not going to give into that, which is basically what happens and how this novel progresses. I'm not going to really say anything else because that really is just the beginning of our novel here, and it moves on from there. Really good read. It was. I really enjoyed it. You wanted to get to the end as fast as you could just to see what was going on. And if there was one knock on it, I just didn't really appreciate how vague the ending was. I would have liked a little more of a concise ending after what you had put me through, after what he had put me through. That's just my opinion, though. And hey, for those of you that have read it, again, love to hear your thoughts on this one. And yeah, really good read, though. I would check this one out. Next up, I wanted to carry on with the Odd Thomas series. So I was on book 4, and I read Odd Hours, which is the next one after Brother Odd. And I really did enjoy Brother Odd. I thought it was one of the better ones in the series that I had read. This one, I thought maybe took a step down just a little bit. Didn't really like the plot and the execution. It basically surrounds around Odd, who is now in this small coastal town, and he has one of his premonitions on the beach one night that leads him to believe there's going to be a catastrophic event. And turns out the mystery he was going to foil this time ended up being smuggled nuclear weapons, nuclear bombs, and a plot to basically blow up every major city in the US, which is why I thought it was a little too far-fetched for an Odd Thomas novel. I thought like the scale of that was a little big, very ambitious, but it was an Odd Thomas novel. It was, an easy read, takes place over basically a 24-hour period, and a lot of, odd foiling bad guys with his powers and everything like that. Still a fun read, and I'm still going to keep going with the series. I didn't stop there, though, when it came to Odd Thomas. I decided to jump right into this little guy here, which is Odd Interlude. Now, this one was surprisingly really, really good. Like, I wasn't sure what I was expecting going into it, especially coming off of Odd Hours, but I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't know why he chose this for like this interlude novel. Like, the plot of it was so good, and I thought it could have deserved a full-length novel. Just enthralling. It basically comes across time-wise, right after Odd Hours. right after he leaves the town that we were in Odd Hours. And I forgot to mention, he did pick up a new friend, very weird friend in Odd Hours that a woman who we don't really know a whole lot about just yet. But I am intrigued to see where that character is going with the rest of the series. And she is in this one very briefly at the beginning, and she's very vague with what she says. I get the feeling she's kind of got powers like Odd, but she's not really letting on. Anyways, they come across this other small town, basically, and Odd can just kind of tell right away that something very weird is going on. And there is this guy in this town who is keeping all these residents hostage, and nobody can leave the town, but he's doing it through like telepathy in a way. And he can talk to Odd, he can go into their minds and assume control of their bodies and things like that, and threaten Odd, and even like, try and hurt Odd and everything like that through other people. And kind of like, reminded me of like how a demon can jump from body to body, and it was really weird in that sort of sense, but a very, very intriguing read. And Odd has to foil this mystery by, again, using his powers, and he befriends a young girl who's actually a pretty cool character and helps him get the job done here, who lives in the town but hadn't really been taken by this guy. And also, due to Odd's abilities, he couldn't, our big bad in this one, the evil genius, couldn't get into Odd's mind, which also infuriated him and intrigued him in a way, because he wasn't sure who Odd is and what he was all about. And like I said, really, really good novel. Maybe I didn't do the plot justice with my rambling there, but no, I would recommend this one. And even as a standalone, if you're not reading the series, this one would be a cool one to check out. All right, so the next two are a couple sci-fi epics. The first of one, continuing on with my Dune series, is Heretics of Dune. Heretics, I think. So this one jumps a long time after the last one. What does it say here? 1,500 years after the last one, when Duke Leto Atreides ended up dying in that one. And this one, like it's been said, that these were basically are kind of written as a trilogy, a bridge book in a trilogy. So this would have been the first one in that like latter trilogy. And you could tell how the story is progressing. Obviously, it's 1,500 years down the road, so it's all kinds of new characters and things like that, except for one character that just seems to be lingering around for quite a while and is making a comeback in this one. This one, very, very religious based, as a lot of them have religious undertones, religious political undertones, but pretty cool how the series, even though it jumps in time, it is really maintaining the foreshadowing that was established in the previous novels. And what I thought was most interesting about this one was how Duke Leto Atreides in the last novel, how he came across as a tyrant, and they basically had him assassinated. And because I could see how everyone came across it thinking what he was trying to achieve was tyranny, but he would warn them and be like, listen, this is what's going to happen. He had the gift of foresight, and he was telling them, like, this is for your own good. You may not think it, they may not seem that way now, but it's for your own good. And it's funny how they thwarted him, and now you're seeing his foresight, his predictions come to fruition. And, they're not for the best, right? Like he saw it happening. The things he was trying to prevent are now happening way, way down the road. And it's just really interesting to see the building blocks and read them as you've gone through these books, and now to get to this point, to get to this future and see it actually coming about. So, like I said, they're Dune novels. If you've seen the movie, if you've even read the first one and none of them, you realize how dense they are, a lot to it. You really got to concentrate when you're reading these novels. But for me, Still liking the series, and I'm looking forward to the last one written by Frank Herbert, and then the final two that were kind of picked up by his son there. So looking forward to finishing this series. All right, the last one here is Ilium by Dan Simmons. And when I say sci-fi epic, this is the epitome of a sci-fi epic. This is going to be very hard for me to explain. It really will. So I'm just going to read the plot on the dust jacket. From the towering heights of Olympus Mons on Mars, the mighty Zeus and his immortal family of gods, goddesses, and demigods look down upon a momentous battle, observing and often influencing the legendary exploits of Paris, Achilles, Hector, Odysseus, and the clashing armies of Greece and Troy. Thomas Hockenberry, former 21st century professor and Iliad scholar, watches as well. It is Hockenberry's duty to observe and report on the Trojan War's progress to the so-called deities who saw fit to return him from the dead. But the muse he serves has a new assignment for the warry scholic, one dictated by Aphrodite herself. With the help of 40th century technology, Hockenberry is to infiltrate Olympos, spy on its divine inhabitants, and ultimately destroy Aphrodite's sister and rival, the goddess Pallas Athena. On an Earth profoundly changed since the departure of the post-humans centuries earlier, the great events on the bloody plains of Ilium serve as mere entertainment. Its scenes of unrivaled heroics and unequaled carnage add excitement to human lives devoid of courage, strife, labor, and purpose. But this Eloi-like existence is not enough for Harmon, a man in the last year of his last 20. That rarest of postmodern men, an adventurer, he intends to explore far beyond the boundaries of his world before his allotted time expires, in search of a lost past, a devastating truth, and an escape from his own inevitable final facts. Meanwhile, from the radiation-swept reaches of Jovian space, 4 sentient machines race to investigate and perhaps terminate the potentially catastrophic emissions of unexplained quantum flux emanating from a mountaintop miles above the terraformed surface of Mars. If you got anything from that, I know even that probably would be a lot to take in. It follows 3 perspectives in this novel. And like it said, you're following the events being reenacted of the Iliad on a terraformed Mars. You're also following the events of the gods, the recreated gods like Zeus and Apollo, that are overlooking this battle. And you're also following this new Earth where these post-humans, as they call them, are, living this life of, like it said, like they don't work, they don't do anything, they have these robots just cater to them day and night. All those storylines kind of come together in the end and lead you into the sequel called Olympos, which I'm reading right now. So these are the 2 that I've undertaken. It's a beast of a book, and so is the second one. So this is kind of maybe what slowed me down a little bit in terms of the quantity that I've read in this past couple months. But like I said, if you're into sci-fi epics, if you're into Dune, for sure, you should really check this out. This is one to really dive into and sink your teeth into and take your time with, because it can be confusing at times. And even me, like reading that synopsis on the dust jacket, I do apologize if I mispronounced some of those names, which I'm sure I did. I don't know the correct exact pronunciation of some of that stuff. So yes, I do apologize for that. But yeah, no, this is, again, if you're into sci-fi, if you're into epics, check this one out. It's really well done by Dan Simmons. I'm sure he put a lot of work into this one. Okay, thank you once again for checking out my video and watching it this far. If you have, I do have some collection videos planned. Also hopefully some new review videos coming out as well as mixing in a movie video here and there, which I still want to dive back into a little bit. Happy reading and take care.